all for this wonderful gathering for the inauguration of the Cyber Security Club in the name of an open web application security project, Aruna Engineering College Students Chapter, where Open Web Application Security Project is a non-profit organization, a non-profit foundation that works to improve the security of the software. I take immense pleasure to invite our Vice Chairman, Engineer E.V. Kumaran sir, our Registrar, Dr. R. Satyasilan sir, our beloved and motivated Principal, Dr. R. Ravichandran sir, various heads of the department, faculties, and my dear students. On behalf of Department of Computer Science Engineering, I take immense pleasure to invite today's the two young minds of our soil, Mr. Vimal Mani, Head of Information Security, Bank of Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, and Mr. Agara Kaviyarasan from Senior Project Management from Bahrain, actually. So thank you, sir, to invite you for the session of the Cyber Club. Now I take immense pleasure to make our principal to felicitate the gathering. Please, sir.
This program. So it is my pleasure to join with Dr. Jyotish Kumar in welcoming Mr. Vimal Mani of Bank of Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, and Mr. Akara Kaviyarasan from Bahrain. So it is the need of the hour. Why do we need cyber security? Everything has come up in cyber and net platform. We go everything we do it with the help of cloud tools and so many other things. And we talk about data science, machine learning, and so many things. So we also this is the need of the hour to provide, protect the process and controls and application of technologies with means of security controls. So it is rightly we have invited. Right time we have invited Mr. Vimal Mani, Head of Information Security, IT, GRC and privacy programs, Bank of Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. And their guest, Mr. Akara Kaviyarasan, Senior Project Manager, Citibank, Bahrain. So it is, we are fortunate enough to bring in both the guests from nearer fields, almost in the same field. And the guests both are incidentally from Middle East. So it is happy to see them. So I wish all the students to make use of this session and get most out of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech related to the guest as well as to the topic, actually. So now I request Mr. Vimal, sir, to take over the session. Please, sir.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. It's my great privilege and honor to be among student community, which is really making me more energetic. And by nature, I'm already an energetic person. But whenever I get a chance to be part of such interventions among in a younger generation, it makes me more energetic and makes me to forget that I'm getting old. So today, as the principal quoted, the world of cyber is becoming unavoidable, and it has kind of reached even up to the level of the layman, who is in the last level of society. So I'm saying that it has started from corporate and it has reached the life of the individual layman at the last, who is the last element of society. So being an experienced person in this industry for close to 2 decades, I would say more than 2 decades. I'm not going to preach you anything, but I want to share my experience, the knowledge I gathered, and how it can be leveraged in better format by all of you who are about to get graduated and get into the industry. So I put a small presentation. Maybe, 1 second. I will share my screen. So let's start with having an idea about a couple of jargons. So before getting into the mainstream discussion about cyber security, it would be better if we understand a couple of jargons which are very critical. First one is cyberspace. Why I'm going to talk about these jargons is I want to connect the dots properly. Straight away, rather than jumping into the word cybersecurity, I would like to connect the dots. Cyberspace, what is cyberspace, first of all? Cyberspace is a virtual space that exists between our IT systems. We have our laptops, desktops, servers, mobiles, tabs, X, Y, Z, and we all connect these devices to internet. So the virtual space that exists between all our systems or devices and the internet is called as cyberspace. So what is the significance of this cyberspace? Cyberspace is a place where we perform electronic transactions. What does it mean, electronic transaction? We all have a account in bank, right? We all access our online banking account. How do we access our online banking account? We log into our online banking account using the credential. It's nothing but it's a cyberspace provided by the bank for us. So then we all have our personal cyberspace. What do you mean by personal cyberspace? We all have account in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, Y, Z, all social media. That is nothing but our own personal cyberspace. So this understanding we need to have. This is the virtual space that exists between us and the internet is called as cyberspace. From there, I move to cyber attack. What are cyber attacks, which we hear very lavishly these days? Any attack or any attack that is happening in the cyberspace or through the cyberspace is called as cyber attack. What do you mean by happening in the cyberspace? Someone has hacked your Facebook account. They did something by hacking your Facebook account. That is attack happening in the cyberspace. Okay, means your LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, Twitter page, it got hacked, and some abusive messages has been sent from your account to someone else. So this is an attack happening in the cyberspace. Then what about attacks happening through cyberspace? A hacker is traveling through internet, and all our devices are connected to internet, right? If it is our home, we have our own Wi-Fi connection. If it is our college or office also, we all will have a Wi-Fi connection. So the moment we are connecting our devices to internet, we are exposing ourselves into cyberspace. So any hacker who tried to launch an attack on an organization through the internet connection, these attacks are called as attacks happening through the cyberspace. The attack is not happening in cyberspace itself. The hackers travel through internet, they reach our system, they compromise our system. Either they take the data out or they crash the system. There could be a number of objectives behind these attacks. So any malicious attacks launched by adversaries such as hackers in cyberspace or through the cyberspace is called as cyber attack. Then okay, then finally let me connect these two terms to the term cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is nothing but principles and practice which will help an organization to prevent its assets from cyber attacks. I think now I have connected the dots. Cybersecurity is nothing but it's set of principles or practices which help organization as well as individual to prevent their IT system, to prevent your desktop, prevent laptops, servers, mobiles, tabs, iPad, whatever, different formats we have system. So cybersecurity will help us to prevent all our IT system from cyber attacks. So it's basically it's the ability of protecting our presence in cyberspace as well. See, you can implement security controls for your Facebook account, LinkedIn account, Twitter account. So that sense, we can say that cybersecurity is a capability to protect our cyberspaces. So I hope I'm clear on this, right?
Sir, sorry to disturb. Sir, can you able to make it as a slideshow, sir? Because
okay,
the audience.
Okay, I'll do that. Let me do it. Let me do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you, sir.
doing. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I think I made it clear so far, right? Okay. So why cyber attacks are very significant? Because see, if you see late 1980s and 90s, during that time only all these malwares kind of issues started. During these 1980s and 90s, it was only seen as a nuisance. Oh, some hackers are trying to send some abusive messages. They're trying to do some nonsense. It was only seen as a nuisance and nonsense. But the more years it passed, the cyber attacks, they got evolved. They moved into a different dimension now. Now, if you see the events that happened across globe by hackers, I will quote one example. Early this year in the US, in Florida state, there's a town called Florida town. That town is having a reservoir, water reservoir. You can say it as a dam. The dam, see here in the current world, everything is controlled by IT systems. So end of the day, cyber attacks are targeting only the IT systems. By targeting the IT system, they can damage anything that is under the control of IT. So in the Florida town, there is a reservoir which is controlled by IT systems. So these hackers, they attacked the IT systems, which was controlling the entire activities of the dam, and they kind of locked the system. They encrypted all the data in the system. They locked the system. They were asking for money. They told that if you don't give me money, we will make sure that we will mix poison in the reservoir water. We will make programs to act in such a way so that the entire water source will get corrupted with poison. So finally, the mayor of the Florida town, he had to negotiate with these hackers. He has to pay a ransom amount. Then recently in Iran, the national railway system, like our Southern Railway or Indian Railway, Iran is having a national railway system. It was attacked by hackers. The railway means the IT systems of railway. But every organization will have a corporate IT team where they will have a data center from where they control all the IT systems. They attacked the IT systems of Iran National Railway. They halted the entire transport for 3 days. So let's imagine, like, even if one day the system is stopped, how much disturbance it will bring to the common man's life. Then early this year in the US, there was a pipeline company. Which what do you mean by pipeline company? Pipeline companies are in the business of transferring liquids such as oil from one part of the country to another part of country. Again, this entire oil pipeline traffic is also controlled by IT systems only. So this pipeline company's IT systems were attacked by hackers, and the system was taken into control by hackers completely. To release the control, again they demanded for money. So finally, that pipeline company, they have to pay $5 million to release the control of hacker. So again, there are recent surveys saying that air traffic systems are again vulnerable for cyber attack. So let me quote a right example. We all might have gone to airport. We might have seen the ATC, an air traffic control tower. There'll be a tower which will have a revolving radar. What is the job of this ATC? It controls the landing and flights which are taking off. If a hacker is able to compromise the IT system of this ATC tower, I can give a quote. They can make 2 flights to collide in midair. See, they can divert the flights. They can make 2 flights to collide on the midair. Just think about the casualty it will bring in. So this is a kind of disaster cyber attacks can create. So now I hope you all will understand why the word cybersecurity has become so sensitive and so popular, because the sensitivity of cyber attacks has reached beyond our imagination. That's why the field of cyber security is emerging like anything now. Yeah. So for your information, after this COVID-19 pandemic started a couple of years back, the surveys conducted, particularly specifically, I'm talking about United Arab Emirates, where I live. The government has come up with, the government entities have come up with a survey stating that the amount of cyber attacks has increased after the pandemic started. What is the relation of pandemic with cyber attack increase? Now, due to cyber attacks, most of the people are working from home. What do you mean by working from home? Everyone is working from home, connecting to their office through internet. We already saw attacks are happening in cyberspace or through cyberspace. So it became very, very feasible target for hackers to target people who are working from home. So globally, as per a recent survey, 70% of workers, they were working from home in last year, but slowly the percentage is reducing now. People are getting back to office. But since 70% of global workforce, they were working from home, the amount of cyber attacks increased in relation to this. So we all have really a handful of job during this last 2 years to make sure that nothing targets our bank. Every bank in this organization, because again, banks are very, very ripe target for hackers. Why? We hold money, we hold the sensitive collateral we receive from the customers. Immediately they get the money, right? If they compromise us, immediately they get benefit. They don't need to wait. So during the last 2 years, we all security professionals are really under tremendous pressure. 24/7, we had to be really vigilant. and we continue to do so. So this is why I'm saying, I told you why cybersecurity is becoming very critical, because it can create disaster, it can lead to incident which will result in casualty or heavy financial losses. For example, let's assume that we have a larger dam which is containing so much of water. If they are releasing the dams, the dam water without any announcement, just assume what kind of casualty it will bring. So that's why I say every sector, every business sector. I'm only talking about dam. So the same thing. Refinery. You go to refinery sector. Refinery sector is all dealing with petrochemical products. Easily accidents can be created if the hackers are able to compromise the IT system. So like every sector, it has its own impact if cyber attacks happen. That's why cybersecurity jobs are becoming very, very critical. Who is hiring now? Governments are hiring, because the governments are controlling aviation, shipping sector, refineries, manufacturing, and business organization like Tata Group, Birla Group, all these guys. Banks and financial services like us. Retail sector. Why retail sector? We all know. We all work in Flipkart, Amazon. We keep ordering things. These days, no one is ready to go for physical shopping. Everyone is in online. All the retail companies are having shops in virtual space. So retail sector is again a sector which is heavily targeted by hackers. Manufacturing sector, oil, refinery, airline, healthcare, defense, many more. So as per the recent survey, it's said that by end of this year, almost 3.5 million jobs will be unfilled. That means there will be a scarcity of 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals by end of this year, because the organization, they don't find a rightly skilled person to come and join them as a cybersecurity specialist. This is again a latest survey. So what are the top qualifications if you want to be in a cybersecurity field, if you want to enter, if you want to work in the field? Relevant experience, knowledge of basic and advanced knowledge of cybersecurity concepts. It depends. If you are an entry level guy, basic knowledge is enough. But if you are a middle level or senior level guy, you may need more knowledge. Then you should have, definitely you should have certification. There are a lot of certification I will talk about little later. Then you need to have a real hands-on experience. If you are applying for an experienced profile, for example, your experience, like, see, for a freshers, of course, no one will expect for experience, but you are applying for a job where they are requiring for experience, then you should have some hands-on experience. And you need to have soft skills also. See, all of us are doing engineering, and we all learn a lot of programming languages, C, C++, Java, X, Y, Z. Fantastic. But all of us are forgetting one critical thing. To work in an organization, your technical skill is not enough, because you need to have soft skills also. What is soft skill? See, in a team, you are not going to work alone. You will be working as a part of team. You should be a team player. So to be an effective team player, you need to have good communication skills, good leadership skills. See, you should have coordination. You should have listening skills. These are called as soft skills. So this is where, see, again, organization, see, colleges or wherever you study, universities, they may or may not create chances for you to develop your soft skills. But as an individual, you all should take it as your responsibility to sharpen your soft skills. Without a soft skills, forget about getting a job in not only cybersecurity industry, any industry. So many of us are forgetting. Even when I was a student, engineering college student, I was not having much of idea about soft skills. But yes, over a period of time, after committing a lot of mistakes, taking painful experience, I developed it. But you all are very smart. You all have access to a lot of experienced people like us. So as an experienced person in the industry, I would advise, please try to develop your soft skills as well in line to your technical skills. Then better to have, if you have only engineering degree, you better to have an MBA as well. Like for example, MS also, Master of Science these days, a lot of colleges are having Master of Science in Cybersecurity. Even University of Madras, they have a course called MSc Cybersecurity. So IIIT, they have a course in MS Master of Science in Cybersecurity. It would be added advantage if you are adding one more degree in addition to your engineering degree. And yeah, these are the critical qualifications which are desired if anyone want to make an entry or they want to sustain their position in cybersecurity. how the career path will look like if you want to pursue your career into cybersecurity. There are entry-level jobs, there are mid-level jobs, there are senior-level jobs. Entry-level jobs, you will go as a technical specialist. Maybe you will be having a need to write programming itself. See, for example, malwares are nothing. See, these days cyber attacks are happening with the help of malware. What is malware? It's a malicious software. So as a counter attack, to prevent the malware attacks, you may have to write another programs. So you need to have your hands dirt in tech, programming languages, technologies, all those things, which will happen in the entry level. Once you enter, then you spend few years, maybe I would say 5 to 6 years. Then you will have some strong experience. That time you can do the mid. This is pillar 2. Mid level is called as pillar 2 jobs, where you can work as a consultant, you can work as an auditor, you can work as a system security professional. Then once you cross like 15 years of experience, then you are considered as a senior. That time you can move to the position such as cybersecurity architect, IT security manager, security director, chief security officer, chief information security officer. Like I work as a chief information security officer, but because I already crossed 20 years in the career. So the below line shows every level what are the desired certification. If you want to have an entry level position, what certification you should focus. If you want to reach to a mid level position, what is the ideal certification for you. The senior level, what you should focus on. So this is how a typical career path will look like for a cybersecurity professional. So let's see about what are the different certifications available for you, because here we saw for every level there are some specific certification to focus on. So these are the top cybersecurity certifications as of now. They are called CISSP, CISM, CEH, CompTIA Security, Offensive Security, CCSP, ISO 27000 Lead Auditor, Implementer, OSCE, GSEC, CompTIA. There are a list of certifications. So you need to focus on which one will be relevant for you, because being a fresher, if you are aiming for a certification that are relevant for mid-level or senior level, you will not get any benefit out of it. So I would advise you people to focus on those certifications which will help you to get a entry-level job. So these are the different organizations who are offering various cybersecurity certification. There is CompTIA, GIAC, ISC Squared, ISACA. So all these are different organizations. You can Google it, you can find out. These are the very reputed organizations which are offering different type of cybersecurity certification. So you have to go and explore, you have to find out what is relevant for you, which we already discussed. EC Council, there is a setup called EC Council. They are also offering certifications such as Certified Ethical Hacker, Certified Security Analyst. Again, EC Council is again a very reputed organization. Then there is an organization called ISC Squared, the most reputed organization which is offering very wider recognized certificates like Certified Information System Security Professional. This is the most respectful certification in the industry of cybersecurity. Then they have a couple of other certification also. So you can always go and search for ISC Squared certification. Then there is a GIAC cybersecurity certification. They are also known as a very reputed organization. But these are very complicated certification. But yes, you should be able to crack if you prepare well. Then ISACA. This talks more of pillar 2 and pillar 3 jobs. We saw pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, right? ISACA certifications will prepare you towards your pillar 2 and pillar 3 jobs. Once you become experienced, you can start focusing on ISACA certifications, because this is more of auditing or more of managing security programs like that. And there are some other certifications called, there is an organization called CompTIA. You just Google it, you will find out. They also run a number of security certifications. You need to just go and see the coverage of certification, and you have to decide what will be relevant for you. There is one certification called CYSA Plus. This is for Certified Cybersecurity Analyst. Then they have something called Security Plus. Again, this is also very well recognized in the world of cyber. And there is one thing called Offensive Security. This certification is little different from other certification. Other certifications, what is the difference? Other certification, you will only write theory. You will have like 200 questions, objective type, in which you will select. Based on your selection, you will be graded and you will be announced as pass or fail. But in offensive security, In addition to the theory paper, you will have a lab also. For example, they will give an IP address of an organization or something they will create. They will give the IP address. They will ask you to hack it. You have to show the proof. So this is again one of the very toughest security certification as of now, as per my knowledge, and which involves lab. And once you clear your lab, then you will be successfully certified as OSCP. So far we saw all these things, because why I'm putting more focus on certification is at the entry level, when you don't have a right experience, you may be knowledgeable, but how you'll prove that you are a highly caliber, you are a right fit for an entry level job is once you have some basic certifications ready with you, it will bring a confidence on your profile. The interviewer, the hiring manager will always, okay, you have a 80%, 70% mark, fantastic. Okay, you have, then during the interview process, they will check your soft skills, how well you behave, how well you communicate, all those things. But on top of it, if you have a certification, it will give a preference for your profile. So keep this in mind. Try to identify the right certification for you, and try to start preparing in see if you are in BE computer science or information technology. I would advise every one of you to start looking for one certification, such as certified ethical hacker. Certified ethical hacker is a basic certification in cyber security. I would advise you try for it. If you don't get success in one attempt, you can try in another attempt also. Vice versa, if you want to explore any other certification also, you can always explore. There is no limitation. Finally, there are few tips I want to give from my experience, how to be successful in the world of cyber. Get some fundamental certificates like how I talked now, and have a professional networking. You don't spend your time only in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Try to get into LinkedIn also. LinkedIn is a very professional network way you can get connected with people like me. And try to get some good intern experience. Internship, don't waste your, for second year itself, you are good to go for internship. Every year you try to have one internship experience. When you reach the fourth year, when you complete your college, you will have three internship experience, which is good for your profile. Rather of showing a profile with no experience, you quote like, I have done 3 internship, which will add a value to your profile. Prepare a good CV, look for some good CV format, and there are some leading job sites such as Naukri, Monster and all. You go and register. And there are a lot of job fairs used to happen before COVID. I don't know about now. And there are a lot of professional security groups which meets in major cities. In cities like Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai and all, there are some groups for security professionals. You have to identify. They conduct a lot of meetings. You can join in those meetings also. Attend a lot of security related webinars. Read a lot of security related blogs and podcasts. Learn about cyber security standards and frameworks. See, what do you mean by cyber security standards and framework? There is something called ISO 27001. You might have heard ISO 27001. This is a global standard for information security. So if you really want to get onto information security, cyber security, you should have knowledge of ISO 27001. There are a lot of other standards and frameworks which are related to cyber security. For example, Reserve Bank of India, they have released a cyber security framework for banking sector with a lot of control definition. You go and Google it out, have a look into cyber security framework of Reserve Bank of India. You will get to know about the different type of controls that are expected by RBI for the member banks. Then you can start writing articles. There are a lot of global journals. The more you see, why I'm saying you have to start writing articles is, to write articles, you need to learn something. How you will learn? You have to study. So it will make you to study. It will make you to do a lot of research. So start writing articles in whatever possible journals you have access into. Keep learning. Don't stop your learning, because now you're going to start your career. Learning is very important. That also particularly in cyber security. Every day you should learn. If you stop, then you're out. Then surround yourself with some motivated people who will always keep you motivated, so that at least when you lack motivation, someone will be always there to keep up your spirits. So that's all pretty much I want to share with you, all of you. These are just a few thoughts, because when I was in college, I was not having a right set of guides to guide me. So this is what I wanted to share with you as some success tips for getting into and as well sustaining yourself in cybersecurity. Any questions? I am open.
for your wonderful presence and giving over the basic thing what you told about the cyberspace as well as the cyber attack and what the cyber security is the platform that we created. And maybe you have been rightly coined over the topic about the certification which is mainly needed for the students, in what way they can
Yes.
able to
Right.
have other than the curriculum of the university what they have been projected actually. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir, for your valuable speech, which has been more energetic for the students as well as for the institution.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now I welcome Mr. Agra Kaviyarasan sir, a senior project manager of from Bahrain. And I also make my thanks to Mr. Satish, who has been rightly coined over the two young professionals in the field of an information security, and who has been motivated me and as well as rightly coined over the two eminent persons in the field of an information security. So now I invite Mr. Agra Kaviyarasan to take over the session. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jyotis. Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organization and Jyotis for inviting us for this inauguration event. As you rightly mentioned, Satish approached me stating that you are doing some inauguration of the event, and I thought it would be better place to have Mr. Vimal Mani on this forum to inaugurate, because he has a lot of experience over cybersecurity. We worked together for a couple of years in Kuwait in a firm where he was leading cybersecurity team for consulting and designing cybersecurity for multiple bigger organizations. So that was the reason I thought it is a very it would be very much suitable to bring in Mr. Vimal Mani into this forum, and he has added value. Thank you, Vimal Mani, for being here.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks. Thank you.
And once again, I would like to thank the organization for giving us the opportunity so that we can motivate the young bloods on how to perceive on the cyberspace if they are willing to take their profile in that way. Okay, so with my experience, I was working as head of IT for investment bank, and for a long time I was information security manager and infrastructure manager, and then head of IT. So I would be taking this forum to tell what are the operational perspectives of cybersecurity related activities. So when it comes to any security, like before cyberspace, we had, antivirus was the only thing. Everybody knows that was the only thing which organization has to have to protect the organization data or the systems. Once the internet evolved, once the data has become very important, when banking and all activities have become online, without internet we cannot do anything. The office has to connect to the internet all the time to perform their day-to-day activities, business as usual activities. So in this place, we have to make sure that all the systems are available, functional as expected to the organization and to the client. So to protect that, we have to look at how to protect the organization from cybersecurity attacks. As an operational manager or functional manager, IT operational manager, everybody would look into that also. So I will show my presentation, which is very brief about like what are the basic things you will be looking at, because I don't want to take it more detail. I'll give some pinpoints. Based on that, you can go and learn more in the internet space, because it's open to everybody. You can go take link from there and go there and read more about it. And in the club also, in this cybersecurity club, you can take one topic and create a discussion around it. If you would like to invite us, we are free for the discussion, and we can give you some information on those topics whenever you need. Just a moment, I'll share my screen. So like I'm taking this opportunity to just very simply to show us what are the preventive solutions on the cyberspace towards cyber attacks. Simple points. As Vimal Mani mentioned, continuous training, learning is very important to get the certification, to get the job. By that learning, you have to train all the employees and all the participants in the organization to make sure that they know what are the loopholes. And you need to give them awareness. We will talk about each points in brief later. Secondly, you have to make sure all the systems are up to date with the patches, security patches. All servers, network devices, your Wi-Fi devices, or computers, laptops, anything connected to the network through the wire or wireless, it should have security patches. And then thirdly, implement endpoint protection. Previously, it was told as antivirus. Now it's not antivirus, endpoint protection. So endpoint protection is like in each device, it's like antivirus. On top, it does a lot of activities, continuously monitors what is happening in the system, what are the malware things happening, all those kind of things. So an organization should have this in place in all the systems. And then implement network layer communication security tools. This is like, for internet, we need the organization or an institute. It should connect through a network layer, which is firewall or a switch, whatever it is, you will have, which is connecting your internal system to the external world, internet world. And then next one is continuously monitor and improve organization security. So after you have all this in place, you should continuously monitor what is happening in your computers, in servers, in your network, to make sure that there are no malicious activities or hacking activities or any improper activities. So this is very important. It should be a continuous one, 24/7, and improve and protect the organization, systems, and data. And then prevent access control attacks. So prevent access control attacks. In the organization, you need to access a computer, you need to access a room, you need to access a data. You have to have a username and password. So you can have different kind of access methods, multiple passwords, multiple authentication methods, and define tools to control that, automated tools to control that. So these are very important to ensure that only the right person have the access to the system or to the room or to the wireless device or whatever it is. And then last but not the least, backup of data. So you should have always backup of your important data in case if the system or the solution or the data is hacked. And recently, mostly what happens is people put some ransomware and take control of the data, and then to access the data, they ask the company to pay to correct it. So if you have the backup, you can restore it, you can clean it and restore it, and then you can clean the system and restore the data and start using it. So this, in my experience, couple of companies in Bahrain, they have had not taken the backups timely, so they had to lose a lot of data and a lot of their clients and customers because of that ransomware attack happened to them.
Kavi, 1 second, Kavi. Maybe let's give them a basic idea of what is ransomware. So, friends, ransomware is again a new version of malware. The word itself is self-explanatory. So, what is ransomware is malware is a type of malware which the hackers will introduce into your system. What it happens, the moment it gets into your system, it will encrypt all the data, critical data in your system. It may be your project-related activities, your business-related activities, personal data. Everything will get into an encrypted format. What do you mean encrypted format? When you use user ID password in a system, your password will be shown as a star. Like that, all the data will get converted to encrypted format. Then what they do, they lock the system. Then they ask for ransom. Say you pay me $5 million, you pay me $10 million. That is why this malware is called as ransomware. So until otherwise you pay the money asked by them, the ransom asked by them, they will not release the control. You will not be able to access your data and you cannot run your business. See, that is why the malware is called as ransomware, because it's used for asking ransom. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimal. So if you have a backup of the data, you can just clean the system, restore the data, and start using it if you have the previous day's backup.
Right. We no need to go with the demand of the hackers. If you have a backup, we can easily resume our operation.
Correct. So it's thank you, Vimal Mani. Like if we have this kind of interactive session, hope people will be having very much interest to learn it. Please join me wherever you are welcome to give comments wherever you see. So let's get into the point by point. So the first point which I mentioned is continuous training and awareness emails. So we have to inform people, all the employees, that what is social engineering, what is phishing, what is scamming, what is ransomware, what is malware. Every week or every bi-weekly or whatever, you have to have that schedule to inform the people. If you behave like this, you will be caught in this way. You will open door to the cyber attacks. You should not do this kind of activities. You should be aware of what is that. If you don't know the link, don't open the link. If you don't know who has sent you the email, don't open it. If somebody is asking you to pay the money, which you don't know that you are not committed to it, you should not go and continue asking it. You should approach a person from cybersecurity asking, okay, I have been approached by this kind of emails. What should I do? You should not open the link. You should forward it to the cybersecurity team, who will look into it and who will guide you what next to be done, or they will take a respective action. So this continuous training.
One second. To add to what Kavi says, yeah, it's perfect. 70% of cyber attacks happening now, they are only happening due to social engineering attacks, as Kavi told. So mostly they will reach you by email. You will receive an unsolicited email from someone whom you may not be known before. They will ask you to click the link or click the attachment. Attachment will have a malware embedded inside. You need only one click. And the moment you do only one click, the action starts from there. You can't control it. So please be careful when you receive any email from unknown person, or you are not expecting a mail from one person. He is saying, we are offering some credit card to have your information. Please click the link. Why you should not click the link is, the moment you click the link, you will be taken to a website which will be loaded with a lot of malware. From that site, the malware will get downloaded to your machine without your control. So please be careful when you receive spam emails. You no need to respond to each and every mail you are getting. You no need to open each and every attachment you are getting. Okay, take care.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is where we need to train the people, not only in the organization, even personally, when you are using it or when your family member uses it, you have to tell them how to approach these kind of things. You have to continuously train them, because nowadays, as Vimal mentioned in the beginning, banking you're doing using your phone. So if you're using the phone, you have to be very careful what you have to have in the phone, what kind of control they can take on your phone. Even in WhatsApp, what kind of link they can send and how they can take you and how they can control your mobiles. So this training is very important. Everybody should be trained. Then we'll go to this next point. Keep the security patches up to date for all the systems in the organization. So how do they manage it? They might have 100, 200, thousands, 40,000, 50,000. When it comes to bigger organization, they'll have more than 100,000 computers, systems, inclusive of servers, network devices, and everything. There are different kind of tools available in the market. Microsoft has System Center tool, which using that they program it and scan the computers and apply the latest patches. They make sure that what are the latest patches. All these patches are applied to this OS or to that device or to whatever end user devices or the servers or the network devices, and they apply it. So other than Microsoft, there are SolarWinds, GFI, and Manage Engine. They have, and multiple other products are available in the market. If you go and search for security patch update management, security patch management tools, you will find on the internet a lot of them. This is one of the profile for you. You can learn about it, or you can take an intern into an organization. If you are interested in cybersecurity or information security, you can learn about this, and you can take internship in this kind of things, which will give you an opportunity to get into an organization. These are basic things which every organization continuously does.
Kavi, I just want to add one more thing. Fantastic. So why we should patch? Kavi says patching is very critical. Why we should patch? What do you mean patch? Patch is an upgrade to your system. If you have a Windows server, previous version, the patch means the next version. So why you should patch? Until you patch and move your system to the current security upgraded platform, your system become vulnerable. What do you mean by vulnerable? From security point of view, hackers can easily attack your system. So that is where the patching becomes very critical. So as and when you get an alert for patching in even your Android mobile, you will get some alert saying that new version of software is available. Would you like to go or not? Please go, because this is patch offered by your mobile service provider. So as and when you get an alert, don't say that schedule to next month, next week, immediately. The idea of patching is to make sure that your system stays very strong against attacks, which will happen when your system is being vulnerable without security patches. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, to add to it, example of patching is that there may be a port which is open, which can be accessed from internet through the port. They can through that network port, they can access your device and take the data. So that port will be closed by applying that security patch. This is one simple example. There are many other things which can come under that. So let's go to the next point. Using endpoint protection tools. So endpoint protection, as I mentioned earlier, it's not only antivirus. It does a lot of other things. It will make sure that you cannot run who can run exe files, who cannot run exe files. And even in endpoint, you can have firewalls using this endpoint protection. What are the sites cannot be accessed? Like USB devices cannot be connected. All those controls, a lot of controls you can apply to endpoint devices to make sure that only allowed tasks are performed from that device by the user. By doing this, so you have a controlled environment, so they won't be able to expose their computer to the attackers. So you need to have endpoint protection tools and continuously update the agents for those endpoint protection tools. Now, recently, couple of years, we have cloud-based endpoint protection tool, which is CrowdStrike, which is available from online. And this is mostly for AWS and Azure-based the computers available on the cloud solutions. You can directly get this thing for the organization, control there and install the agents, and they monitor and you can control. It's a cloud-based solution. And other than that, you have Symantec, Trend Micro, Norton, and so many other antivirus companies have developed them as endpoint solution. Clear? Anything you'd like to add, Vimal, here?
No, I think that's fine, Kavi. So again, I just want to add only one small point. When you started this, you told about antivirus. I want them to understand what is the difference between antivirus and the endpoint protection. See, antivirus are kind of signature driven. When a malware attacks, then the characteristics of malware will be studied, a signature will be created, and that will be added to the antivirus database, signature database. But endpoint protection, it works in a dynamic mode. There is a new malware which was never identified by any antivirus company, no signature available. Then how to identify this particular malware and prevent it? That is what the difference between the antivirus software and the endpoint protection. Antivirus is purely signature driven. If there is no signature related to a particular malware, it will not prevent the malware. But if it is a endpoint protection, dynamically it will prevent the attack of malware. That's the difference between antivirus software and endpoint protection suite.
Great. Thank you, man. So let's go to the next point. Next slide. Implement network layer communication security tools. This is very important when you are exposing or connecting your organization or institution to the internet, or you have wireless connectivity to the users in your organization or institute. You have to have these things in place. Firewall is the main, the name itself shows that. Firewall, it stands between your external network and internal network, internal users, internal departments. You can keep it whatever. Nowadays, to make it more safe, they install firewall, external firewall, internal firewall, data center firewall. So everywhere they control each and every traffic using the firewalls. So next one is intrusion prevention systems, IPS, and then IDS. What is IPS? IPS, it prevents the attack by understanding the traffic happening through the, which comes from firewall, which is forwarded to IPS system, which continuously monitors and done some analytics to it and understand whether it is a clear traffic, clean traffic, or malicious traffic. If it thinks that it is like based on the formulas and the previous experience and continuous connection with the IPS provider, it will automatically find whether it is a malicious or not. If it is malicious, it will proactively block the traffic and send the alert to the security system administrator, who will take next step of activity. Then IDS is intrusion detection system, which detects the malicious traffic happening through the network and alerts the system security engineers to take action. So Vimal, would you like to give some more lights to this IPS and IDS?
Yeah, see, there is a concept called defense in depth, which is related to the security architecture of every company. See, no company will have only one layer of security control. Companies are expected to have multiple layer of security control, which is called as, you go to internet, you put defense in depth, you will understand what is the meaning of it. Defense in depth is a desired security architecture of any organization, like bank or a manufacturing industry or whatever. So what do you mean by defense in depth? We will have multiple layers. See, from outside physical security, we have security guards, access control system, all those things that takes care of physical security. Then moves to network security. So what Kavi talked about is the security control that will fall in the network layer of controls. Firewalls and IDS, IPS is predominantly, these are the late technologies or solutions used by organizations to monitor the malicious traffic that happens in our network perimeter. So every organization will have a team called SOC, Security Operations Center. What is their job is, they 24/7 they will monitor the kind of pattern of traffic that happens in your network perimeter. So if anything malicious, they will track it. So the intention of having firewalls, IDS IPS is mainly any intrusion attempts, it will prevent, and it will predict, and it will prevent. As Kavi told, firewall will help us to control the data traffic that happens inside our internal network. This is what I wanted to add more.
Thank you, man. So once you have these things in place, you have to monitor. So continuously monitor, as Vimal mentioned, SOC, Security Operation Control Room, where 24/7 people are sitting there, and they will take the logs from all these systems using the tools. There are some software tools available, SIEM, Security Information and Event Management software, which collect all the logs from the computers, from the end user devices, from the servers, from the network devices, and analyze and tell that what's happening in the organization. So the Security Operation Control Room, they have a security engineers who looks into it. They do analytics on this data and then take actions, and more to it. SOC team will have full asset discovery, where Vimal has mentioned in the beginning of his presentation, that you should know what are the assets you have, how to protect your assets from the cyber attack. So you have to have asset discovery method to collect all your assets in the network, different kind. You can say software, hardware, whatever it is, you have to define them, and they will understand what are the vulnerabilities towards it. And so here again, if you learn ethical hacking, you will do vulnerability assessment on those devices. How to is your database server vulnerable for somebody from the network itself to access to the database and modify the data, or from internet somebody access your database and take data, modify data. So these are the things. So when you learn ethical hacking, you will learn about it. So this SOC team, they will have engineers who will continuously work on this. Behavioral monitoring. They will monitor the behaviors of the computers, traffic coming from one, traffic changes happening from one end user device, a laptop, or from one server. Suddenly there may be, like when there is a malware or ransomware, something like that, one computer will communicate to all the computers and move affected system. So by understanding this, automatically SOC will, okay, this computer is affected. This is doing unexpected data transfer from one computer to all the computers in the organization. So there is something wrong happening from there. They will take action. So these are the kind of activities which will prevent organization from being attacked by cyberspace, in the cyberspace.
Would like to add few points further. As Kavi told, these SOC Security Operations Centers, by and large, they are driven by SIEM solutions. There are some very popular SIEM solutions. One from IBM called Curador. Then there is something called Splunk. There is something called Oxide. Then something called Nitro. There is something called Logarithm. You go and search for SIEM solutions, you will get all these solutions. Basically, what SOC does is these solutions will be installed, and the various log sources will be connected to this solution. Various log sources means you have admin log, you have audit log, you have fault log. All these logs will get connected. All these fault log sources will be connected to the solution. What the solution will do, it will just assess the logs. It will see any anomaly, any pattern of anomaly, any suspicious trend of logs are happening. Immediately it will throw alert. So the analyst who is sitting in the SOC center 24/7 they work in shift. If they see any anomalous pattern, they will immediately alert the IT infrastructure. We are seeing some anomalous traffic, there is some suspicious logs are getting generated, just check what it is. So this operates in multiple level, level 1 support, level 2 support, level 3. Level 1 will be always the guys who will be working in the SOC center in 24/7 in shift basis. Level 2 will be the teams inside. See, sometimes some small issues which can be addressed at level 1. So if level 1 people cannot address, immediately they will escalate to level 2, which will be the IT infrastructure team, which will work under person like Kavi. And they will look into the issue, they will triage it, they will analyze. Then when they identify the root cause, they will make sure that this is a genuine alert or it's a false positive. So this is how a SOC operates. And for all of you to get into cybersecurity field, getting into SOC is the best place to start your career, because as part of SOC, Security Operations Center, when you join as a SOC analyst, you get a chance to look into the various kind of cybersecurity attack attempts, and do a root cause analysis, understand what is the vulnerability, how to fix it. It will help you to understand the complete life cycle of a cyber attack. So if possible, I would advise you people to look for opportunities such as SOC analyst when you look for a job. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, man. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So next one is very, very important. Again, once again, all of them are important. This is very important, even personally. So prevent access control attacks. So you should know who has what kind of access to what system and what data. So in an organization, you need to protect. A person from a sales department should not access a marketing department data. A person from a different team, back office team, should not access sales. No one from any department should not access HR data. How do they manage it? Usernames for individuals. And then, okay, if somebody is having a simple username like, okay, some Kavi or Ram has password at 123. So somebody can guess it and do it. How you can protect? Put more stringent rules and system in place which make sure that it is not letting anyone else other than authorized person access the system or the data. So for that, there are the PAM is a solution and IAM is another solution. Naming conventions used. So which is, whereas PAM is a privileged access management solution, which takes care of who has what access. And IAM is an identity access management solution. Who is who? What kind of accesses can be given? And in these both things, you can have additional options like multiple authentication, multiple factor authentications like OTP or install push application in your mobile. And when you're logging in, it will send an alert to your mobile. You have to accept in your mobile using that application, then only you can gain access. So these are the latest access methods you can include in your organization or institution to make sure that somebody, by knowing your username, he cannot try to access, or somebody from cyberspace, by getting the whole username list, they cannot access your systems. Even in nowadays, even in recently, all simple personal applications, they are providing multi-factor authentication integration. So when you are using, I have used Instagram. I think in Instagram you can have this multiple factor authentication, whereas it will send a OTP to your mobile, or there is an application you can install. You can integrate with Google application, which is for multiple factor authentication. And there are other tools which is available in the market. You can use it. And then By using this, personally, you can protect your data or access to your systems. Nowadays, Indian banks are providing OTP, but it is not yet fully implemented over India. But in developed countries, all it is very it is a governance requirement that they should have multi-factor authentication. If not, their bank sites are not allowed to be on the internet space. So this is again one part of it which is very interesting. Even for personal thing, you should know where you are using your password, how you can take care of the password, and how you have to look at next level to have multiple factor authentication for all your accesses systems to protect from data loss. The
Sir,
last-
yes,
yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, presently the final year students of computer science and information technology students are studying the subject known as cryptography and network security. Can you able to suggest about the banking system related to private and public key? What is the essential need of these two keys in the banking system, sir?
See again, Jyotish, right? Jyotish, every country will have a regulator, such as in India, RBI is a regulator. In central bank, we have a Central Bank of UAE. So banks have, see again, first of all, not only bank, any organization will have a different type of electronic communication channels through. They will transfer different type of data will with the low sensitivity, data with high sensitivity. So the regulator themselves, see again, this is getting into traction now. So even Central Bank of UAE, we have a standard called Information Assurance Standard, which talks about having some strong encryption mechanisms implemented in your network as well email traffic. So, but again, this is in the very beginning stage of implementation actually, because cryptography being see basically why we want to have this, to make sure that the data is not getting intercepted. The data we don't have much problem of data in rest. What do you mean by data in rest? Which lies in our servers and storages and all. So this is only, the concern is only about data in motion which travels through our network or our email and all. So banks or any other organization which are regulated by a regulator, they are advised to look into industry standard cryptography. Again, they are not weak ciphers driven, the strong cipher driven stuff like AES and all. So again, depends, this is completely decided based on the kind of data and the volume of data transferred from one bank to outside world. So the different mechanisms are being studied, like there is a mechanism called DES, there is something called AES. So bank has to study this, and they have to say again, everything involves a cost. These solutions are coming as like a $1 million solutions. For example, recently in our bank, we implemented a database encryption solution, which was costing us almost close to 2 million dirhams. So see, again, first thing consider is what is the regulation say. Second one is the feasibility of implementing an encryption solution. Third one is the cost involved. Accordingly, it need to be studied and the right solution need to be brought in. But see, globally, I am saying this is still being as a weak area only. See, because first of all, it's complexity involved in cryptography. Second one is cost involved. Until otherwise, the regulators are coming up with things like fine. If you don't implement, I will impose fine. Then they will take it forward. But yes, it's getting to traction. There are some banks who have really done a good job in implementing this cryptography mechanisms. But even in our bank, we just started because due to the pressure from regulator.
Thank you, sir.
Addressing
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can understand, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And then finally is the backup of data. As I briefly mentioned, it's very simple. You take backup of the data every day to make sure that you can recover at point in time. Even people are doing, bigger organizations are taking snapshots, very frequent snapshots. There are different kind of backup methods. Like you can have another discussion on this, which will tell like what kind of backup methods are available, how to recover, and what are the recovery solutions, all those things. So you have to back up the data personally, our institution, our organizations. It's very important. You should always have a backup. Your mobile, your laptop, a company will take care of your company data, the database, files and folders, whatever it is. And then if you have continuous backup, if any interruption happens, if your data is modified, if your data is hacked, you can recover it from the backup. So this is it from my side.
One by one. There is one final year, I don't know who is this, final year CSCIT. They are asking software vulnerability is one of the challenge in cybersecurity. How can we handle the challenge, sir? Okay, great. I don't know who raised this question.
Actually, the students from auditorium, sir. Actually, the students
Okay,
of
fine.
computers and
Okay,
information
let me
technologies
answer
in
this.
auditorium. Yeah.
A good question. See, again, every organization, they have to look into the vulnerabilities exist in the software, not only software. Here they're asking particularly about software. There are IT infrastructure elements like switches, routers, servers and all, network equipments like firewalls. Everything should be looked into vulnerability point of view, because every device, not only software applications, every IT asset will be vulnerable if you don't patch them. So there are solutions called vulnerability assessment tools. If you go and type in internet NESSUS, NESSUS or Nmap, there are exclusive solutions which are brought by companies. Every month we will run the solution, because the solution will run on all the endpoints, all the desktop servers, laptops, everything is connected to network in an organization. We will run this vulnerability assessment solution and it will give us a different type of reports. What is the vulnerability in endpoint? What is the vulnerability in firewalls? What is the vulnerability in switches? What is the vulnerability in routers? So device wise, you can organize your reports. There are exclusive solutions available in the market, which is called vulnerability assessment solutions. The leading solutions are NESSUS, Tenable, Nmap, and there are different tools available. With the help of these tools, organizations should run these tools in a periodic basis. At least every month they have to run, which will identify the vulnerabilities inline to what is happening in the market. It will throw you. So your Windows 2016 server is having this vulnerability. Your Google Chrome is having this vulnerability. Your Outlook Express is having this vulnerability. Once it throws, you have to identify are there any right security patches. For example, if they say Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Reader you are reading is having a vulnerability, then you need to check whether Adobe has released any recent security patches which will address all these vulnerabilities. If yes, immediately you have to roll out those patches so that you will be able to successfully address this vulnerability. So this is how, in an ongoing basis, every organization should keep track of vulnerabilities that exist not only in software applications but all the IT infrastructure and network elements. I hope Karthi, I answered your question.
I would like to add a few more points, Karthik. There are two things which I want to mention. One is, as Vimal mentioned, continuously you have to do vulnerability assessment is very important. There are standard as per governance from central bank in each country. They do audit in each banks or wherever they need this information security and cyber security, wherever they fall in under that governance, they have to run this vulnerability assessment and penetration testing assessment tools and give the result and take action on that and provide an audit report to the auditing companies. This is one which I want to give you. This is how organizations handle this. Secondly, just how do you handle the challenge of vulnerability? Is that give access on need-on basis. You don't give full access to everybody. You don't give open access to everybody. You don't give assumed access to everybody or anybody. You have to block all access and give what is needed. This is how information security manager or the infrastructure security manager will look into the infrastructure, IT infrastructure, to make sure that the vulnerability or penetration to it or intrusion to your systems are protected. You give need-based access and close all other access. If you keep that in mind, it will be mostly saved. And then do the vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment, you can think, as Vimal mentioned, you think you have a firewall. What are all the ports open in that firewall? Is it needed? What are the access can be done through opened ports? You have opened a port for a website. Through the port, what other access they can do, and what are the activities they can do, how they can hack your system, or what kind of data they can take. You have to think about it and make more control to it. That's how you understand how much vulnerable my current control is. That's from my side.
How to, okay, fine. Did banks transaction using this type of security system? Kannan, I'm not really clear. What do you mean by did banks transaction using? Yes, bank only, not only bank. Yeah, banks are very critical. Banks, we will not even miss minus, we will not even take 1% of chance. We will do all kind of security controls. I think I addressed your question. How to check whether my device is being hacked or not? Is there any source to monitor our device? Yes, here Kavi was talking about endpoint protection. First of all, endpoint protection is nothing but a software solution which will be attached to each and every system, including your system if you are in a company. And it will monitor all the traffic that is trying to get into your system from the network perimeter of your company. And in addition to that, we talked about SOC, Security Operations Center. If any traffic comes to your organization, it should come from outside world. So when the outside traffic will try to get into your network itself, they will monitor, and that level itself, they will identify there is some malicious attack is going to happen. On top of it, everything failed, the hackers have reached your system means these days organizations are conducting something called compromise assessment. Compromise assessment means there will be a reverse engineering conducted. You all understand what is reverse engineering, right? So we will hire a company from outside. They will come and start looking into all the suspected system. If people are thinking that the system is compromised, those system will be, see, there is another terminology called digital investigation. For forensic, they call it as digital forensics. What they do, they come and isolate your system. If you are having a doubt that your system is compromised, then they will have some exclusive tools which they will install in your machine, that they will run the solution that will identify if your system is compromised or not. And if it is compromised, it will give a solution. What are the mitigation controls? What you should do and how to handle the compromise. So this is how you can monitor whether your system is compromised or not. Firewall system has two types, software and hardware. Which will be better? Kavi, you can take the question.
Yeah. So firewall, software or hardware, it depends on your infrastructure. If you are on cloud, you have to use software firewall. You cannot use hardware firewall. So if you are having a company where the institution where you have your own data center, you will have a hardware firewall where the internet line comes from a telecom company which connects to your hardware firewall. You are connected and you have it. So this is it. There is no difference between much big difference between it depends on the application where you are going to apply it. You are in a cloud or you are in your physical data center. And then again, firewall is different from IPS and IDS. Firewall is a simple control tool which controls what traffic can flow from where to what. On top of that, you add IDS and IPS, which takes the data from the firewall and analyze the data and tells what's happening and takes action accordingly. It prevents or alerts. Yeah. Clear?
Great, fantastic. Adi Narayanan is asking, is artificial intelligence somewhere controlling cybersecurity system? Adi, it's not somewhere, it's going to be everywhere now. Because maybe next 10 years, if you are smart, if I am smart, I will be able to retain my job. Or else artificial intelligence is going to replace all the human efforts. Of course, with the help of emerging data science and data analytics, all the patterns of attacks will be accumulated in an artificial intelligence controlled database. From see, there will be a lot of analytics work happening based on the data collected by the AI database, based on the inferences it has from the data analytics, definitely artificial intelligence will replace the human efforts on cybersecurity. Maybe whether I will evidence or not, because I have only 10 more years to spend in the career. So maybe you all will definitely
Vimal,
going to see.
Actually, I would like to add some point to it, but it is not replacing you, Vimal, replacing anyone.
No,
We have to evolve, because
yeah, we have to see.
what we are going to
Yeah,
do is,
I got the message. Kavi. If we don't evolve, if we don't embrace all the new technologies, and we will be replaced by AI.
no, the thing which I want to mention here is that when the artificial intelligence comes in, there is a new opportunity. We have to learn that. Okay, what is artificial intelligence? Somebody collects the data. We are telling how to collect the data. It's a human being who is making sure that data is being collected from everywhere. And it is another human being or a team of people who is sitting and creating this artificial intelligence formulas, putting their mind. You have an opportunity. People, you have an opportunity in cybersecurity space in AI. You have to think. You have to, predict. Okay, what kind of things can happen? So, what kind of formula, if I put in artificial intelligence, it will block. It's nothing. It doesn't. It didn't go to the next level which will create its own formula. Even if it creates its own formula, somebody has to monitor it. Human interaction is very much important. There will be another opportunity where you will move from what you are doing to, you tell the artificial intelligence what it has to do. What you are doing, you are telling AI, this you need to do. I will focus on something. If a lot of things are coming, this is the new formula. So it's not going to replace anyone else. You need to evolve and go to that next step to make sure that we are there.
But yeah, it will replace if you don't evolve yourself. Am I right?
Yes,
Kavi?
that's sure. Not only here, it's in everywhere. If you don't evolve, nobody is going to keep you there.
That's why in my presentation I told very clearly, please keep learning the new technology, because the forthcoming world is going to be ruled by artificial intelligence, data analytics, data science, a lot of new technologies like blockchain, fintech, regtech, legal tech, big tech. So many things are coming up. Please, guys, get ready, or else, as we said, you don't embrace a new technology, either you will not find the right job, or even if you are in a job, you will be replaced with the technology world. So please be mindful of it.
Yes, you need to continuously learn new technologies. Correct. Thanks, Vimal.
Any other questions? After Adi, no one has asked any questions.
Thank you, sir. That what you mentioned about learning is not to be stopped. Learning is being the innovations with ends, or the innovation never ends. We will make it that particular word to the students. Learning is being available in all the ages, and learning should be make it at every moment of time. That will upgrade at every moment of time, actually. And I thanks Professor Agra
one more
Kavi
question.
Arasan,
I think
yes,
one more question.
Yes, sir.
Difference between blockchaining and cybersecurity. Rajesh Simhan, blockchain is again a totally different platform. Cybersecurity is it's a practice actually. Blockchain is a new technology platform. This is called as like a connected ledger technology. See, basically blockchain, it creates a platform for people to perform trusted transaction. Cybersecurity will come and play on all the technology. Blockchain is only one type. It's a type of technology. It also has the involvement of cybersecurity to ensure the security of blockchain. Cybersecurity controls are required. So there is other technology called fintech, financial technology. There is something called regtech, regulation technology. So on every technology, cybersecurity control will come and sit on top of the technology and ensure that this particular technology is implemented in a secured manner, and any applications that are developed using these technologies such as blockchain are protected well from cybersecurity point of view. So this is a difference between blockchain. It's not blockchaining, it's called blockchain. Blockchain is a technology itself. Cybersecurity, it's a security practice, or I would say security standard. Kavi, next question is for you. Practical example of IAM and PAM.
Okay, identity access management and privileged access management. Identity access management is for everyone. So each and everyone in the organization is ensure that they are connected through that to gain access. So PAM, privileged access management, which is that you have a file server, you have a database, whereas that is connected, controlled by PAM solution. If somebody who is in IAM, he is going to take connection or control, he is going to connect to the database or the website or whatever it is, tools, application, he will be added to that PAM solution. Whereas if he is present in that and they have groups, like example, in a database you have read only, access to only one table or whatever it is, they create a group and add it in the database. That group will be replicated to that PAM solution, and there the user will be added. So this solution is to manage and review and to make ease of control for the whole organization. You can do this even simply, like manually. You go create the group in the database and give access to this person. But to view, it is not easy. If it is a very simple organization with 10 users, 15 users, you can do it. When it is 100 plus users, you need to have a single dashboard where you can easily drag and drop users to provide access, to control access, to deny access. So that's it. So PAM is privileged access management. IAM is identity access management. Anyone who is part of the organization, he will be added to it to gain access. Whereas in IAM, they can have like even there they can put OTP or simple email acceptance to access.
There are a lot of solutions available, practical examples. For example,
if you Google, PAM, you will find out PAM solutions, yes. PAM softwares, yes. IAM softwares.
And you have to decide based on the users. Like if you have, as Kavi told, if you are having less than 100 members, you cannot bring a big solution because it's something like bringing a big elephant and feeding it. So based on your organization size and the kind of business you do, the kind of data flow inside and outside, you have to decide which PAM solution and IAM solution is really suitable for your organization, because everything involves a cost. Everything involves a cost.
Yeah, each user, per yes. 10 user, per 25 user, you have to pay for the license.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech that you told about the framework which you designed for an organization, like how the network layer community, especially the network layer communication security tools, as well as how to monitor and improve the organization security, and how to prevent access and control attacks with the backup of data. And Professor Vimal sir also make it some kind of information like that 70% of attack is being reached by the email with the name of an malware actually. And how the patch upgradation is needed for the system for the security purpose, and as well as a very good point that the students want to know about a very specific differentiation between how the antivirus is being different from the endpoint product as tools actually. So that I think that points I really admire on that particular point, and how the students can able to take to different position like in SOC analysis with the name of an security operations centers actually, and what way that particular position is most important in the information security actually. And Professor Kavi sir has given about the point about in what way the backup of data, and as well as how the firewall is being more important, and in what way the difference between PAM and as well as an IAM is being taken over the role of the security system, especially in the cyber world actually. So I thanks on behalf of the Department of Computer Science Engineering and as well as Department of Information Technology and the organization of our institution. So I thank you, sir, that you given over the right channel for the students, and students are being really, I think today is the day where I identify more kinds of interaction with the students actually when compared to other.
No, I expected more, Jyotish. I expect more, but unfortunately, very less questions only. But see, if they can see. I will give my WhatsApp number if they have any questions, any doubts, any inputs required about career planning. We are more than happy to help them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Well, me and Kavi, we are very particular we came from this community. We want to give back to the community.
Yeah, we
Whatever-
we have to. Go ahead, go
See,
ahead.
the community gave us a lot. So me and Kavi, we have our same thought process since we work together. We want to give back to the community as much as possible from us.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir, definitely.
we didn't have access. We didn't have this kind of access. We didn't know whom to ask what. Now we are there. People, kids, and new generation, they can approach us. They can connect to us. We are open for any interaction, any help. If they need any information, we can provide. We are always open. We want young generation to come up. When they develop, when they become big, we will be happy. Our country will be good.
Thank you, sir, for your support that you given over it. I think students will definitely use over it, as well as an organizational and as a learning community. Definitely, we will use in the part of a cyber club, and progressively we take over this particular club with the name of an OSWAP, that the students chapter. We'll make your helps and as well as your guidance in the future. In what way the progressively we can take over the cyber club in the right manner, sir.
We'll be more than happy to support you.
And all the best for the cyber club, and
all the best. Good luck.
Who have taken this initiative. All the best, and thank you once again to the organization and Dr. Jyotis. And thank
Thank you very much, Jyotis.
especially
Thank you very
for
much.
coming, taking my invite and joining.
Thank you. Thanks, Kavi. Thanks for giving the
Yes.
chance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to both the eminence of this particular event, Professor Vimal sir and Professor Kavi sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.